I honestly don't even know where to begin with this because The Sims just made so many announcements. We're talking Sims 4 updates, Sims 5 news, even a Sims movie confirmation. So we've got a lot to go over in this video. So they just posted this massive blog post called "The Future is Plum Bob Green." And the gist of this is that the 25th anniversary of the franchise is coming up in February. So they're clearly gearing up for some big stuff to celebrate. And they're also just trying to be a lot more transparent about their plans for the franchise and kind of what's going on with The Sims right now. The Sims 4 turned 10 about 2 weeks ago, and this is basically what I expected to get then for the 10th birthday. But hey, better late than never, and I'm very excited to go through all of this with you. I'm gonna link this blog post down below in case you want to read the full thing for yourself, and I'll just point out all of the highlights and then give you my thoughts on what it might mean. So they start off with the 25th anniversary, and they still have not acknowledged The Sims 4's 10th birthday. There's not a single happy birthday Sims 4 in this post. I don't understand this. I know that they care a lot more about the franchise birthday and they typically have in the past, but come on, how are you gonna have a game for 10 years and not even like address it in your blog post? But anyway, they did give us some little stats about The Sims 4, which I really enjoyed. This year alone, they've spent 759 million hours in live mode and 303 million hours in build mode. Apparently 640 million Sims have been made and 65 million babies were born. This is the kind of stuff that I want to hear about. I think that's so cool to see how many people are playing the game and how much time has been spent playing the game. I would do anything for more stats like that. I love to hear stuff like that about The Sims. This kind of stuff is so interesting to me, especially with the split between live and build mode. So on average, people spend like twice as much time in live mode than in build mode, but I'd say that I'm the complete opposite. I mostly build in the game. So it's just cool to see how different people prefer to play. But anyway, they go on to say that they're planning to kick off the 25th anniversary celebrations starting in January, and they're gonna begin with a Behind the Sims episode in January 2025. So when they've done these before, they're usually a pretty big deal. They're like highly produced news episodes about The Sims. When they first announced Project Rene and Infants, they did it in a Behind the Sims episode. And I know I've got a history of clowning about The Sims, but with this much advance notice and with a 25th anniversary looming, it makes me think that this one is gonna be kind of a big thing. But that's not really news. The big news starts with the next line where they say, "The Hollywood rumors are true. The Sims is headed to the big screen." So they are confirming that that Sims movie that we heard about being in the works is true, and they've got a studio for it. We first heard about this a few months ago, but this is the first time we're getting official confirmation from The Sims about it. And I did make an entire video about it back then, so I'll link that down below. So we don't really know that much about this so far, and the blog post kind of just confirmed what we already knew. It's going to be directed by Kate Herron, who directed Loki on Disney+. Loki is Marvel's most watched Disney Plus program, so that's kind of cool. And Kate Herron also worked on a show called Sex Education, which you might have seen, and also apparently on the forthcoming second season of The Last of Us. And we know that Kate Herron is going to be co-writing the script with someone called Brian E. Redman, and they actually co-wrote an episode for the latest season of Doctor Who. It's going to be produced by Lucky Chap and Vertigo Entertainment, and you might know Lucky Chap because they just produced Barbie last year. So that's really interesting. There's some pretty big names working on this with a pretty impressive resume. When I think about a Sims movie, I do get kind of scared. I don't really know what to expect storyline-wise from it. I feel like the Barbie comparison is actually probably pretty good because all I can picture is like a Sim becoming sentient and like realizing that they're in some sort of simulation. But like, is that overdone? I just don't really know what it's gonna end up being like. And then you think about like the Minecraft movie coming out and how that one kind of looks a little bit scary. So I don't know. I am really excited about a Sims movie. And listen, if you guys need any like consultations or maybe somebody to invite to the red carpet, I will happily attend your premiere. I've got no acting experience, but if you need somebody to like stand in the background, I can do that. Margot Robbie, if you need a personal assistant, I can do that. I'm here to help. Just let me know. This is actually really cool. I am really excited about the Sims movie, and it's cool to get it like actually confirmed now as well. But back to the blog post for a second, they go on then to keep talking about the Sims community and like how we build the Sims. Apparently 116 million pieces of content content have been uploaded to the Sims 4 gallery, and more than 1 billion creations have been downloaded off the gallery. Personally, if I were you, I would not brag about the gallery just because it's such a mess still. But that is really cool. And I mean, it kind of explains why I can't find my own stuff on the gallery, because there's 116 million things uploaded there and they can't handle it. And they also talk about how they've been collaborating with different simmers on different projects, things like having simmers do the builds for packs. But the big thing is that they're now introducing creator kits, designed and produced entirely by creators in collaboration with The Sims. So you might be thinking like, okay, they already have creator kits, like they've made kits as collaborations with creators before, but it sounds like this is different because they're going to start working with CC creators and modders to have that person make an entire pack, and then EA will package it and sell it. These creator kits will mark the first time that a full collection of in-game assets have been crafted by a creator and officially published by The Sims. So the difference between the collaboration kits that we have now is that, from my understanding, with the collabs they've done in the past, usually a creator will like pitch an idea to them. So like with Plumbella's Pastel Pop Kit, she pitched a whole concept and a theme to the Sims team. She had like a mood board and all kinds of ideas of things she wanted them to add. And then they took that, made some items, came back, got feedback from her, and they kind of worked on it together, but EA made it. It was Jesse's brainchild, but EA is the one that made the kit. In this case, the creator kits will be made entirely by the creator themselves, kind of like in the past when they added some CC into the base game in that update. So we got like a dining table and a dresser and a new shirt and stuff like that. But these will obviously be bigger sets and they'll also be paid. So the creator kits are going to start rolling out in November 2024, and they're going to be available alongside all of the current kits that we have. So I think The Sims is going to keep making their own kits, but they're also going to have these creator kits. So we're going to get a lot more kits, I guess is what they're trying to tell us. The Sims 4 releases so much content, and this is kind of an easy way for them to release content. Not to minimize all the work that goes into it, but like somebody else is making the kit, you know? They have to approve it and package it and stuff, but somebody else did all the designing and the crafting of these items. So I assume they're going to be able to release kits a lot more frequently once they start adding these in too. I do have a couple of concerns about this that I'll get to, but I am really excited about this, especially as an opportunity for CC creators. I've seen other games do this kind of thing. I'm thinking about like City Skylines, even Skyrim has stuff like this. And this is a really cool way to uplift and support all the creators that have been making custom content for The Sims 4 for years. CC creators kind of carry this game, so the thought of having their items officially in The Sims is really, really cool. And this will hopefully be a way to financially support them, which I really appreciate as well. I think that's where my concerns come in, because I am really curious to know how the payment structure of this works. I don't think they'll ever tell us how the payment structure works, but I'll tell you what I know about the current collaboration kits that we have. As far as I'm aware, all the people who work on the current kits get paid a flat fee. It's almost like you were a consultant on it, so you just get paid for your time. I don't know how much that is, and they might have gotten paid for like sponsored posts too, I'm not really quite sure, but they don't make commissions on the sale of the pack unless you use their creator code. So if you were to go and buy the Urban Homage cast kit right now, Ebonics would not make any money off of it unless you use code Ebonics at checkout. She would have been paid the flat fee already, but she won't make any extra money off of the sales unless you use her creator code, and the creator code gets a 5% commission. But with these creator kits, if the creators are actually making the full kit, I feel like they should get paid a commission. They should get paid a really decent chunk of the price of that kit if they're doing all of the work for the kit. And I don't want to make any broad assumptions, but I do think that a lot of creators might not know their own worth or their own value, or have a lot of experience with working with brands. And obviously, as a massive fan of The Sims, if The Sims reaches out to you and wants to work with you, you're probably more likely to accept a worse deal just because you want the opportunity to work with The Sims. So all of that to say, I really hope that the payment for this is fair. They deserve for it to be fair if they're making the full kit themselves. But I am really excited to see what comes from this. It seems like a really cool idea. And one other kind of cool thing about this is that obviously you can't have custom content on console. It's physically impossible to mod console games. But like they say here, this is a step forward in delivering creator-made content that's console friendly, because they can package it and then be able to use it on console this way. It's just obviously you have to pay for for it because it's gonna be a pack. So we'll see how that goes. I'm looking forward to more news about it. And speaking of creators, they go on to talk a lot about the creator program and like the EA creator network. I won't go on about this too much because I think most of you probably don't care about like the creator network and how it all works. But basically with this, they're trying to clarify more about how creators work with The Sims. Because before it was kind of this vague, like maybe you get accepted into the creator network and maybe you get free packs, but how does it work? What do you get? What is it? So with this, they're just trying to clarify, what do you actually get as an EA creator? What can you expect? How can you apply? What do you need to be able to be accepted? So if you are a Sims creator, I'll link this down below so you can check it out for yourselves. I appreciate the transparency on this because before there was none. There was no like requirements to get into the program. I really appreciate them trying to be more clear about this. As a person who's been working with The Sims in some sort of creator program capacity since like 2017, they've given some really specific criteria about who is eligible for the creator program and like how to apply and how you'll be accepted. And now they're also being a little bit more clear about what you get as a part of the creator network, which I think is helpful because a lot of people just don't really know how this works. It kind of felt like it was like some sort of secret club and you didn't know how to get into it or what you would get if you were. People thought you were being like paid off by EA if you were a part of the creator network. So having some more clear information about it is a good thing. And they also talk about the Sims Labs, which is their new playtesting stuff that they're trying to do. And anybody can sign up for this. And then I guess if your application fits the criteria of what they need, you might get picked to do some sort of playtesting for something with The Sims. We don't really know what that means or like what it will end up being yet, but they do show a couple of like sneak peek screenshots. They said, in the meantime, here's a sneak peek at some of what we'll be testing coming up soon. And this looks like it might be Project Rene. There's kind of an angle of some sort of world here. And then we've got a picture of some Sims kind of sat outside. I don't know if you noticed, but all footage is pre-alpha and will differ from final release. They made that very clear. They put that 4 times on these pictures. And after that is where the blog post gets like real wacky. So let's talk about this. When we talk about The Sims as an entertainment platform driven by our community, it's because we see the future of The Sims as more than any one title. The Sims will move beyond linear, sequential Sims releases and offer more options for players than ever before. So the translation of that is there will not be a Sims 5. We've kind of thought that for a while just based on what they've been saying, but the confirmation kind of hits hard. It's a tough pill to swallow. We're focused on creating a variety of games and experiences that will touch different categories across the simulated life genre, including cozy games, social and collaborative based gameplay, mobile narrative games, and continued depth improvements and modernization of The Sims 4, which will continue to be a foundational Sims experience. And then they say that with the Sims Labs, they're exploring individual features from Project Rene, a story-driven mobile test, and also enhancements to The Sims 4 with discovery and search tools, creator tools, and more. So there's a lot to unpack with that too, because this is the first time they've mentioned Project Rene in a long time, and a lot of people were thinking that they scrapped Project Rene. There's been a lot of rumors about it getting canceled, so they're kind of coming out here and saying, hey, it's not canceled, we're still working on it. In fact, we're gonna do play tests that you're invited to be a part of for it. So that's a good sign that they're still working on that, but Project Rene is not The Sims 5. It's gonna be some sort of alternate Sims experience, whatever that means. That kind of scares me, but we'll see. And they did address Project Rene further in this. They say, continuing its development alongside other exciting new projects within the Sims franchise, Project Rene is focused on building ways for friends to meet, connect, and share while playing together in an all-new world. And there's gonna be a small invite-only playtest for Rene this fall to look at the multiplayer experience. I'm gonna link the Sims Lab signups down below in case you wanna sign up for it. I don't know how they pick or who they pick. It's probably a long shot that any of us will get picked, but if you wanna sign up for it, it's linked for you. And then moving on to The Sims 4, this sentence is the only acknowledgement of The Sims 4's 10th birthday. Am I so dramatic for being upset about this? We've been expanding all the ways to play with life in The Sims 4 for 10 years. Yeah, 10 years. Happy birthday, Sims 4. That's all you have to say. Anyway, they keep talking about these new features and modernization efforts in this blog post. The big info here is that we know that back in May, they assembled a team to try and invest in the core gameplay experience to fix a lot of major issues. And they've been trying to have those updates around every 2 months. The next update is going to be tomorrow, September 18th. Now, I don't want to make this about me, but I am flying to California tomorrow. They never do updates on Wednesdays. Why are they doing this? I don't understand. But anyway, there's gonna be an update tomorrow. They're gonna have another major release of fixes and an exciting base game update, apparently, tomorrow. And then they mentioned that Happy at Home login reward event they did, and mentioned how they're gonna do it again with the Reaper's Rewards event starting on September 24th. So next week, we're gonna have the chance to play alongside Grimm himself and earn exclusive new rewards. I'm taking that as it being maybe more like a scenario type of thing, like a challenge that you have to complete as opposed to just logging in. So I'll be curious to see how that works. There's actually a Variety interview about this, so I'll link that down below too, because there's some kind of interesting additional insight in this article. It's called No, The Sims 5 Coming, as EA sets multiplayer expansion to current game. Huh? Whoa, what? So they say the main reason to not make a Sims 5 is about the players. They don't want the Sims 4 players to have to start over with a fresh Sims game. They're thinking that there's 80 million people playing this game. It's a decade's worth of content. No one wants to have to start over on a Sims 5. And I think that's a somewhat valid point. I see a lot of people talk about how they really don't like the idea of having to buy all the packs again in a Sims 5 game. And I get that. That makes sense. They talk about how like the Sims 1, the Sims 2, the Sims 3, the Sims 4 were all replacements for the prior generation, and they don't want to make a Sims 5 to replace the Sims 4. They want to keep building on what we have as a community with the Sims 4. We are not going to be working on replacements of previous projects. We're only going to be adding to our universe. With that, you'll see there are more ways to experience The Sims on different platforms, different ways to play, transmedia, and lots of great offerings within this universe. So they want to continue to support The Sims 4 more than ever with content and updates, but they're going to do things moving forward differently. Whenever you read statements like this, it's always so formal and like a lot of fancy words to ultimately say not very much. So they say they want to continue to bring HD simulation experience and what people would want from a 5, but without starting all over. They don't want to reset your creations, your progress, your attachment to The Sims 4. They just want to keep adding to The Sims 4. Okay, again, a lot of fancy words to say, ultimately not very much. The takeaway is they're gonna keep making Sims 4 and they're not making a Sims 5. This part's funny. They call Project Rene elusive, and they talk about how we got a little bit more information, kind of like a teaser of more information about it. And it mentions how Rene is going to try to incorporate multiplayer into The Sims, which the franchise, in their words, has tried and failed at before with The Sims Online in 2002. But then they kind of just go on to say like, yeah, we learned from Sims Online. We want to keep the core Sims experience, but try to do something online, and we're still figuring out how. So there's not actually any info about that. It's nothing new really, but it's, I guess, a good confirmation that it's still being worked on. As far as other Sims franchise stuff goes, it sounds like they're also adding a new region to the Sims free play. And what I am more excited about, My Sims, the Cozy Bundle obviously is coming out in a couple of months to Switch. We already knew about this, but there's a very interesting line in this article. They say so many of our players have been asking for the return of My Sims. We're thrilled to share that we're reinvigorating the My Sims product line, beginning with 2 lovable games, My Sims and My Sims Kingdom. Beginning with. So does that mean that there's gonna be more My Sims coming again? So the Switch game is going to be a remastered re-release of the original My Sims and My Sims Kingdom, but with some stuff added. Sounds like they're going to be upgrading graphics and also adding in some content from the PC release as well. And apparently they're going to have My Sims merch on the Sims shop. I'm actually really excited about that. And that is everything from the blog post. So as a recap, they've confirmed the Sims movie. There's not any details. They just confirmed that it's happening. They're going to make creator kits, so kits that creators have made and the Sims is packaging and selling. There's going to be a base game update for The Sims 4 with some pretty big bug fixes and maybe some new content tomorrow. Project Rene is still in the works, but it is not The Sims 5. I still don't know how I feel about this. I don't know. I understand where they're coming from because I do love The Sims 4 and I really understand the desire to build on what we have because so many people have invested so much time and money into this game. But I think The Sims 4 needs a lot of major improvements, and that's kind of where people are like, I want a Sims 5. I wish that we could fix all of those things, but hopefully they're working on it. And now I'm really curious to see what they're talking about with this Project Rene business, the story-based mobile game stuff. Like, I just don't really know what to expect from any of that. It sounds like we'll be getting some more news in January with that Behind the Sims live stream. And of course, most importantly, My Sims is coming to the Switch, and maybe more than that. I wonder if they'd make a new my Sims game. Because I feel like that could possibly be that story-based mobile experience they kind of hinted at. But I don't know. I'm curious to see more about that too. Hopefully this video was interesting to you. I know we've been yapping a lot. If you like stuff like this and you like hearing about Sims news, make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel because I will always let you know anytime there's something big going on with the franchise. Even tomorrow, when I am literally flying across the entire country to San Diego for TwitchCon, and they have for some reason decided to release a Sims update tomorrow. They always do updates on Tuesday. Sims team, why are you doing it on a Wednesday this time? I know I always joke like somehow they got my schedule and they're doing this on purpose, but like seriously, the one time they release an update on a Wednesday, I have a flight. It's comical at this point. But I think I'll wrap it up here. Thank you for watching and I will catch you all tomorrow. Okay, bye everybody. Okay, so now I have to figure out some sort of way to record a video about the update, edit the video about the update, and then post it all before I have to leave for the airport. Oh my God.